Welcome to the SAP Customer Self-Service videos. In this series, we'll be discussing the Procurement Operation Desk, the sourcing module. This is video 2, and in this video, we'll be discussing how to set up and manage your queues in Procurement Desk. So we do recommend watching the video 1 of the series just to make sure you understand the process and what's required, and just some of the prerequisites before watching this video. So once you've gone through that, you'll go straight into your Ariba solution. At the top there, you should see your Procurement Operation Desk tab. Just go ahead and select that, and that'll take you into your Procurement Desk dashboard. So we'll go straight into the system settings. In video 1, we talked about the workspace settings and the rule settings. In this video, we'll talk mainly about the queue management settings here. Jumping into the Manage Queues section here, it'll take us to pretty much a screen that'll hold all your queues. So if you've got any queues, they'll show up here. In this scenario, we're going to create a brand new queue. So just click on the Create a New Queue, and that should take us to the new queue creation screen. So the first thing you want to do is you want to select the sourcing project, as that is the setup we configured in video 1. If we had other documents, they'd show up here and you'd be able to select which one you want. First thing, just put in a name and description for your video. Just make sure that you put in a name that is understandable, and if you've got multiple team members, at least they know which queue does what. The next thing is you want to assign a queue manager. So this is the person who'll be responsible for this queue and all the team members that sit within the queue. So what I'll do is I'll just give them, I'll select a new user here, and this person will be responsible for this queue. The next thing is the priority. So if you've got multiple queues in your system configured, the priority pretty much defines which queue take priority over others. So being 1 being the highest priority and 10 being the lowest. So if you've got multiple queues and even queues that overlap, just make sure you set up the priorities accordingly. The next thing is the rules section. So if I were to not add a rule, this queue would pretty much act as a catch-all. So essentially, if I had other queues and a new request came in that didn't meet any of the requirements of the other queues, it would fall into this queue automatically. Also, if this was the only queue I had in the system without a rule, all requests would flow through to this queue as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a very simple rule. I'm going to select one of the values from the dropdown. You'll notice the dropdown values here are the same ones we set up in the rules settings in video 1. So if there are any other criteria that you want to add, make sure to add them as part of that. I'm just going to select a very basic one. I'm just going to set up a rule that says any new request that comes through that has a location of Australia will fall into this queue. And you can add multiple queues, you can add multiple rules here, just depending on what the criteria are for this queue. And then the last part here is actually assigning the queues. So defining the team members and how they are assigned queue, the new requests coming through to this queue. So there are four types for the queues. So the first one is assigned to member, and this allows you to select a primary team member and a secondary team member, and all requests will flow to the primary one. Unless they're unavailable, then the system will start to send through the request to the secondary one. The next type is the balance workload. So what you can do is you can add multiple team members here, and then the system will look at each team member. The one with the least requests will be assigned the next request coming into the queue. The third option is assigned to owner, which means just all new requests will flow through to the owner of the queue, and then it'll be up to them to assign it to different team members. And then the last option is a round robin. So you can add multiple team members, and then the system will pretty much add, the first request will go to the first team member, the second request to the third, the fourth, the fifth, and then it'll just start from the beginning. So it'll just keep looping between them. In this example, I'm just going to select pretty much a balanced workload, and I'm going to add one team member. So all new requests will flow through to this one team member here. The last thing you want to do is you want to check the status of the queue. So if you've set it to active, it'll mean once we save this, it'll publish and go live. Alternatively, you can just flick it off and just do some testing. Once you've confirmed all that, just go ahead and click on the save button. And this should now create your new queue. Just to recap, this video we discussed pretty much how to create a new queue, the different fields and the different criteria and the rules of the queue, and then how to assign team members to the queue accordingly. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to your account manager or the SAP customer support team. Thanks, guys.